We are going to be adding pagination to our views. And because we have sorting and filtering already in the view, the pagination is going to be a little bit more complicated. In order to add pagination, you do have to install the paged list MVC package. So you can do that through the NuGet package manager, or you can also do that on the console. And these steps here outline how to do it using the console. Once you have that installed, then you're going to change the controller and the view that you're adding pagination to. And as I mentioned, because we are doing sorting and filtering, ours becomes a little more complicated because if we have multiple pages, we do want to keep the same sort order. So you'll notice that we had to add a ViewBag property called current sort, where we are storing the current sort order. You will also notice that instead of one filter string, now we have two. The way this is going to work is in a multiple page situation, you might have a current filter displayed, and then on page 2, they want a new filter. So they change the box and submit it. So current filter is the one that's applied, and this search string is the new one. And then finally, we have a page number. Now, if it's the very first page, so you've just displayed the index, there is going to be no number coming from the view. Okay, that's why there's a question mark there, because it may not be filled in. So if it's not filled in, then it's page 1. If we've clicked on the 2, indicating we want to go to the second page, okay, then it is going to be filled in, and we'll display page 2. Now, where that logic is it's actually at the bottom of the controller. We are specifying the number of rows per page. That's what page size is. And then the page number that should display. So the question marks are basically indicating, did we get a page number from the view? If we got a page number from the view, that's what we have to display. Otherwise, we're going to display page number 1. Okay? And you can see that when we go to the view, instead of 2 list, now it's 2 paged list, and we're passing page number and page size. So again, page number, it's going to be a 1 unless we've clicked a 2, a 3, or a 4. Okay, and then it's going to be whatever number we clicked. And then page size is the number of rows from the table that it's going to display per page. And we set ours fairly low because we don't have that many rows. So in order to have pages to play with, we have to use a little number there. Then coming up here, the filter logic is probably the more complicated logic. But basically, if we have a current filter applied and they haven't filled in a search string, okay, then the search string becomes the current filter, right? They didn't specify anything different. And then we take the search string and throw it into the ViewBag current filter. So the ViewBag is going to display whatever they currently are filtering on. Now, if we're on page 2 and they've specified a different filter, search string is not going to be null. So if the search string doesn't equal null, we have a new filter. That means the page number needs to be 1 because we're starting all over again. So what's going to be in search string is either a new one, or if it's empty, it's going to be the original filter. And that's what gets passed on to the view so the text can display properly in the search box. So that's what's going on in the controller. And this just explains everything that I just told you. And then to add the pagination to the view. We do have to add our model statement so that it knows that we are adding a page list. So instead of IEnumerable, we are going to be using paged list and IPaged list. Also, we're going to have to display or change our helper in the heading on our index view because it's using a strongly typed helper, but those are not part of the page list model, so we cannot use strongly typed helpers. So we're going to have to change that as well. Okay, and then we are going to have to add a using statement indicating we are using page list.mvc. And page list has its own custom CSS. And that is basically for formatting the little page buttons that you see at the bottom of the view. So in addition, and let me see if I have a full example here. Okay, so here's where we're using page list. So you can see we're pulling that in. And then here is how it basically looks. This is the code I just showed you for the controller. And then here is the code for the view. I think it might be more useful if I show you this. This is where the page list is inserted. And then we've got the @using page list.mvc. Finally, we've got the CSS being pulled in because we need those numbers formatted. And then you can see I had to change this. Instead of being strongly typed, now it's just a standard helper because page list doesn't support the strongly typed. And then you can also see that we have a couple additional little changes here because we need to keep track of filtering. Okay, and we also had to change the form. So we'll kind of go up here and go through the explanation on those things as well. So for the form, what we had before was just, the opening form. And now we do want to use form method.get because that will put things up in the URL so that we can bookmark. Without doing that for the filter, we are not going to be able to bookmark. So this will work for the filter and our pagination. And let's see. Then down in our little search box, because now we're dealing with multiple pages, we want that current filter to always display. And so using the view bag to pass the current filter from the controller, we can now have that display here. And so that's what we are doing. We're saying, display what's in the view bag as our current filter. So that is another change that we are making because of pagination. Then at the bottom of the view, that's where actually the pages are going to display. And so this is the code that we have to add down there, and it may be more helpful for you to see it in this context. Okay, so after our table is displayed, it's going to say page. And here we've got it checking the page count. If the page count is less than the page number, okay, then it's going to say 0. Otherwise, it's going to say the page number of the total. Okay, so this is like that little shortened version of the if. And then we've got basically a little action link here. And the action link is a little bit different, of course, because we're using the page list. So that page list actually changes quite a few things for us. So basically, this is the page list version of an action link using an HTML page list helper.